outro, is the crash cymbal all the way through?
You ready? We're rolling. We don't have enough room to get another one on here. Switching reels, 1 sec.
The studio itself, really, when it comes down to it, it's always been very intimidating for me.
You're under the gun here because the microphones are on and people are staring at you in the room, and it's like, okay, now we're expecting magic.
There's a certain sense of abandon that I have when I'm playing live, and you want to sort of create as much of that in the studio as possible. As soon as the red light goes on and you're aware that you're being scrutinized at that moment to do a performance, it becomes a much more intimidating state of affairs.
Careful not to double up on the cymbals.
Careful not to double up?
Not to double up. Let's keep your right hand doing the same thing the entire time.
When you actually press record and see it get kind of like set in stone like that, it's pretty rewarding.
The most important thing for Slash and the rest of us is to capture a vibe that is almost a forgotten art form, which is recording to 2-inch analog tape. So the reason we're actually in this particular studio here in LA is because we have a 2-inch tape machine here.
It's one of the few sort of band-oriented, up-and-running rock and roll studios in town.
Right now it's all about drums and me, so the pressure's on me first. So I'm playing with Slash and Todd. We're keeping all the drum tracks. We're gonna run the whole album down. I think we've got 17 tracks we're gonna work on.
Can I hear your guitar one, Slash?
We don't have to say too much to each other. The music's always the thing that speaks the most, so we're not really trying to reinvent anything. And sometimes a lot of the newness in music is overanalyzed. We just like things kind of simple. That's why we're doing 2-inch tape, and we try to play like a classic rock band does. All our favorite bands did it the same way, so it just seems to work for us.
It's just overloading the input to the cue. We got it juiced so far. Okay. Good?
Yeah, I think so.
And we're rolling. Dude, it sounds awesome though. It's worth it.
think this song is a monster. So are you hitting the A then?
Yeah. All I'm doing is just not picking the A. Instead of going.
You know, it's been an interesting ride from the beginning of what is now the Conspirators.
I've been playing with Slash for going on 4 years now. Got a last-minute phone call. Could you be at Mates in North Hollywood tomorrow at noon? And I was.
So this guy Todd comes down to the studio, and when he started playing, there was that instant synergy that happened.
Long story short, about a week later, we were on Jay Leno, Craig Ferguson, all these TV shows, and I've been there ever since. As a bass player, it's sort of like being like the ambassador between the guitar player and the drummer, because you're really kind of playing both sides. You have to have that groove going, but you also have to be playing in key and in tune with the musical aspect of it as well. With guys like Slash, who are very creative, my job is to kind of help sort of spurn that along. It's just all about supporting the team, you know.
That's cool. It's not bad. I mean, I can totally hear you doing the.
I'm listening for it now. I'm trying to imagine.
I see what you're saying. Have the guitar do that.
Have the guitar.
Interesting.
Sorry, I was so low.
What song is for? Did you pick on this drill?
That's true.
Once the drums are finished, we sort of reset up the room so that the amps themselves, they're all sort of, you know, boxed in depending on how you want to catch sound. There's blankets over top of things and whatnot to just capture each individual sound. In a more of a digital world, the DI sort of capturing a direct sound and then playing with it within the box. And I'm not opposed to that. I've worked in that and I had a lot of great results in that world. But in the Conspirators, on Planet Slash, as I call it, we like to do things a lot more organically. For me, it's, and for Slash as well, it's all about if it's coming out of your amp and you like what's coming out of your amp, then there's no need to fix it.
Hi.
Where are you sliding from?
Yeah, I'll come out.
Hey, Daddy. How are you?
Come on in.
These guys are playing amazing. I mean, I've never seen Brent play the way that he's played on this record, and Todd is in here doing bass now, and it's just blowing my mind. And it's really raising the bar for me as well. My guitar playing has to be able to stand up to that and sit on top of it, you know?
Good shit in that one too, sir.
Like the ending. We'll just add some cymbal work to the front half and do the two different verse beats, and it'll be a great take. Last take was killer though. Here we go. Rolling.
We've been jamming together, and it's really turned into more of a band that's really developing and coming into its own. So as much as I sort of lead this project, it's rooted in a sort of musical and personal camaraderie with these guys. We've really established a rapport, sort of an organic chemistry. So this record is far and above what we did on the last record.
It's just a matter of where I'm at right now. So I have that on every song. I can pull that in whenever we want to.
Lemmy called. He wants his bass tone back.
Can't have it.
The meat and potatoes of the songs are done. We did like 17 songs in 6 days. I'm really blown away by that. Next week, I'll go to Florida. Mike Basquiat, affectionately known as Elvis, has a studio, so I'm gonna go over there and do all the guitars. And then Miles is gonna come up there and meet me there, and he's gonna do all the vocals, and I'm gonna hang out for that. And Miles has got insane melodies and lyrics and all kinds of stuff for these songs, and so I'm just going, man, this is gonna be a really great record when it's all said and done.
Gorgeous. Got what I want.
Beautiful. Thank you. I've been producing records for the better part of the last 15 years. I'm in Orlando, Florida. That's where my studio is. I have a vintage 1974 Neve 8048, but it's been modified to have quite a few more channels on it. You pair it with the world's greatest tape machine, the Studer A27. I mean, that's just the way rock and roll is supposed to be. I've always been a big fan of Slash, obviously, and I've been working with Miles for the better part of 14 years, off and on, with different projects he's worked on, and we've stayed really close. Just recently, I just finished the new Alter Bridge record with him.
Miles' record with Alter Bridge came out, and there was a certain sonic quality to that record that I thought was just unbelievable. So I mentioned that to Miles, and he said, well, talk to him.
We got on the phone, we talked for about an hour, I think, first time we ever spoke, and we just really generally discussed our feelings about, music, how I felt about going to the analog domain.
Miles knows I'm very particular about a sort of roots rock and roll kind of approach. I gave Elvis a call and I told him, well, first and foremost, we like to play through the songs, we like to play as live as possible, and we like to play to tape.
Which I informed him I was totally comfortable with that. That's how I started.
And so we hit it off right there.
And that's kind of when it just clicked and we took off with it.
He just really had a good understanding of what was happening. Plus he has just a great sense of what rock and roll should sound like.
Definitely the producer shapes. We shape the album, I mean, good or bad. This record, I'm trying to push a little bit more for a bit more of a classic sounding album. I'm just kind of pushing him in the direction of taking some chances and being a little more aggressive. That's something that he naturally writes stylistically towards. So I want to capture that. I don't want to water it down. And I think we've really achieved that. There's an extreme energy in all these tracks. We've just had a blast going after it and doing it.
Would be perfect for manual automation too.
That's a perfect guitar for that.
Yeah, we should probably do that next. That as our next song tomorrow.
That should be a little cleaner than that,
I think I'm bringing it to that guy that was, a fan of Slash as a kid growing up into adulthood, and I'm making sure that this record would be a record that I would want as a fan of that, and I keep that in mind at all times when we're doing anything, and I think that at the end of the day, that's what's really gonna matter the most.
I'm Slash's guitar tech. I've been with him a few years now. This is my second Slash album that I'm working on.
Slash plays with a pick that is so thick, and he really lays into the guitar, but the fact that he's in tune, it's like mind-blowing half the time. So Ace is doing his job.
We pick what to bring on the studio. First of all, we grab the Appetite Les Paul.
I think it's like an 85 or 84 Chris Derrick custom Gibson copy Les Paul. And I've been using that since the first Guns N' Roses record, and it's pretty much my mainstay for all sessions.
And then to balance it out, we have a couple different choices for rhythm guitars.
I have a Melody Maker here. I have a couple Juniors here. I have an Explorer here. I've got a ES-175 and I've got an ES-135. The 135 was Elvis's, and it just has this great sound. It was the great sort of counter sound to my regular guitar, the Derrick guitar. I know inherently how these guitars sound, so I sort of have an idea in my head what I'm going to use for particular parts and songs and stuff. What's been interesting is trying to figure out what the other guitar player sound is going to be, and that's been just a lot of trial and error and experimentation.
It's so dirty that it's like compressed sounding. I can lighten up the front end of the amps.
You sit there, you try one guitar, and you play it for a minute. You go, this isn't it, and you think about the sound that you're looking for, and you guess. You think, well, maybe the Junior is going to be right for this kind of thing. A lot of cases, something like that will work. Or if it doesn't work, you just keep going through guitars till you land on the one that's like, that's it. This has definitely been a sonic adventure as far as guitars and amps, more so than I've done in a long time.
You did it like on the first chord. Yeah.
On this particular record, you know, I wrote a bunch of ideas along the way on the road. When the tour was over, I took all those ideas that I'd collected, went through them and picked out the ones that stuck with me that I thought were really good. I started jamming them with Todd and Brent, and then sending tapes of some of the pre-production sessions over to Miles. He started working on ideas from there. And it's good because it makes for a really sort of positive, creative environment.
You go into it and you kind of know, you know, with Slash, like what his sound is supposed to sound like.
It's okay. Why don't I do it and then we'll try it.
He's so aware of what he wants to do. I just want to make sure that I capture him being who he is.
Elvis is a really talented producer. He has been just getting the best performance possible out of me.
Just want to get the da-da-da-da and the 2 chords of the pre-chorus, because the rest was really tight.
He goes the extra mile, which all I have to do is work with somebody like that, and I'll go straight there, too.
Some guys, you're developing who they are. In this case, you're trying to capture who he is and then push him to another level.
Obviously, you know, Slash is Slash.
I walk through life just sort of like working on fucking trying to get better at what I'm doing and trying to keep everything together and just forging ahead. There's really no time or space for resting on any kind of laurels because somebody told you were good or something like that. You know, I feel like I have a natural feel for playing guitar, but it's definitely not something anywhere close to being as good as you'd want to be, you know? So you just keep humble, you know?
The next one is, yeah.
Oh, it's the second half of
Yeah.
the verse. Oh, the second half of it. Okay, so hold on. Okay.
Millions of people have been touched by what he does. It's been inspiring for me, and I've learned a lot by how he deals with that and doesn't let it go to his head at all. I mean, he's as grounded as they come. He keeps his head down and just keeps working.
If you can make somebody happy in that way, that's great, but it's not meant to go to your head, and it's not something that should, you know, and just be glad that you're appreciated for a second, but you still have a ton of work to do, and you just keep doing what you were doing. I don't think it should change your perspective, you know?
All right, let's go to the second verse and let me play this thing over here and see.
One more shot across the bow.
Working with Miles has always been a pretty natural, sort of effortless affair.
He works his whole life on preserving his voice. I mean, everything he does is dedicated to the craft.
They literally just left.
Check, hey, hey, ha, ha, ha.
When I listen to a piece of music, it's kind of a soundtrack for a script that I'm going to write and tell a story.
When he comes up with ideas for a song, you know, I might read them and see what it is, but I really trust his lyric writing ability.
You know, it's funny, this song, the chorus, the harmony that I hear in my head is actually, end up being the melody. Melodies in particular. Melodies was a real thing. Like, he would send me something, and I would just, generally, whatever happened at that given moment, I'd say 9 times out of 10 is what ended up being the final melody. So, and for me, melody that's paramount.
When you give him something that he puts his heart and soul into, it is really magic.
I prefer kind of going in and treating this process almost like the demo process.
Well, yeah.
Because you get those magical takes that way.
He's going to give me 100% everything he's got, and that means it's going to really take it out of him. And when he gives you all that, you know, you better be ready to catch it all, because if you're not, you've wasted a true performance.
Surrender tonight, this time save tomorrow. Mama, don't you let me down. This broken alliance leaves me so hollow and wondering how did the bed that we made become a battleground. Just hold your fire long enough to see.
Fuck yeah, dude. The harmony is way cooler for the chorus. Way cooler.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and I can hear the low and up in there with a little bit on there, but dude, you sound great. The mic sounds great. It's already good to go.
Cool. The kind of music that this band creates and the kind of style that he has as a guitar player really, I feel like, is a wonderful canvas for me to get to sing over.
I think we were sort of fortunate in that usually collaboration with somebody you don't have any chemistry with, it doesn't work that easily.
It feels like a very natural thing. It doesn't feel like something where you're trying to, I gotta make it like this. It's more of just freeing yourself and allowing yourself not to be afraid of doing this inflection or really diving into the emotion.
And this was one of those things that it was like finding that lost puzzle piece. It just fit perfect. And so it's been that way ever since. So that we definitely have a very sort of natural creative chemistry that we work well together and sound well together.
For Well The, this
Okay.
Damage Has Been Done is great.
Okay.
And Before It's.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay. All right.
Go back to bus 8.
I think music is, I'm a little biased here, but I think it's such a special art form because it's this universal language. And I still love it as much now after years of listening to it and performing it and creating it as I did when I was a kid.
He's the most humble, sweet, honest dude you'll ever meet in your life, but he is also quietly one of the hardest working people I've ever met.
What this is all about is trying to take what you've got here and put it through the speakers directly to the people. It's about conveying emotion.
Sometimes it's hard to find my place, to face the fears that I must face. But I keep on holding on. I'll let this take me down. I'll risk it all to find my way into the iris of the storm. Show the world I was right all along.
The making of this record has just been such a positive experience. I can't say that there's been any kind of challenge, yet the whole thing has been a challenge, you know?
I think the hardest part is you got 4 guys in this band that are all creme de la creme at everything that they do. So it's varying degrees of good, and you've got to find awesome. And sometimes it's harder to find awesome and good than it is to find good and really bad. That's what it comes down to.
Makes it better or worse.
lot of guys, you know, they just sort of want to get in and get out, especially when it comes to guitars. And I love the fact that we will sit there and work on something until we get it right.
I know what he's capable of. So, I mean, he can come in here on an off day and kind of play whatever, and it's better than most. But when you know, when you've seen him, especially after all the weeks in rehearsal and, you know, growing up watching, I know what he can do. So when it's like, okay, that's acceptable, it's like, no, I want the best at all times out of you.
He knows I can do it again. And he won't let me just go, oh, I can only do a couple takes. He'll make me do it until I do a better one. And I'm not used to that.
I'm happy that I'm pushing him hard because he's badass, so push him hard. Yeah. See what you get.
Both Slash and Elvis, I see both those guys the same way as two of the hardest working, if not the hardest working guys I know in this business. I think that's why this has worked out very well, because I think they see that. They're like, oh, he's like me. He's completely beyond driven. It's a good thing to get to play music with people that you respect.
Miles is somebody that I've never had to argue about anything with, you know? And we just make stuff up and figure it out, and if something doesn't work, it doesn't work. If something does work, we use it and we just keep going.
Plethora of blue guitars. Yeah, I know. I have a few blues. It all started with that blue sparkle.
There's been some kids that have said something along the lines of my being a hero to them, but I've met a good handful of the heroes that I had growing up. Some of them I gotten to know personally. At that moment, you sort of become as regular as possible and try not to make somebody feel uncomfortable. Maybe after shows or something, some kids will come up and say that they started playing guitar because, you know, and that's just a huge compliment. You just stop and appreciate it, and then you just keep moving on and working on it, you know. The record's done. Sounds really good. It was a fun record to make.
Yeah, the record's done now. That was fast.
It really came together very fast, a lot quicker than anybody expected, myself included.
We came off the road. We started a little pre-production of, you know, getting song ideas together, and then beginning of the year we were recording, and here we are, you know, finished recording, and July we're on the road.
I seriously didn't really believe that we were going to be able to knock it out as quickly as we did. I thought, I don't see how that's going to happen, but we should try it. It might be a cool rock and roll experiment. And the experiment went well.
There was a little bit of concern initially, but I was always very confident. I was the one that was like, man, you know, I just had a really good feeling that everything was going to kind of come together. As I was hearing mixes come in, it became more and more exciting. And then hearing the masters was really sort of pushed it over the edge for me. It's to me, that much more exciting than the last record.
I went to Europe for a couple weeks to go do the preliminary press for the album launch, and you just go in and do it. It's a marathon, but you get the word out.
The trick with press is when you're answering questions to keep yourself from just saying the same thing over and over again. So a lot of times you'll answer the same question, but you'll try and create different ways of answering it that, in my case, will get you into a lot of trouble because you'll start going off onto these tangents.
Are we done with that? Disaster.
And action. Look at
We
him.
did the lyric video, which was great because I'm getting to the point now where I don't even want to do videos anymore. If I do videos, I'd rather we weren't in them unless it's a live video. I'm so sick of concept videos and all that. So the lyric video was cool. You have to see it. That's how much I can really tell you about it.
Photo shoots? I mean, how many different ways can you know, do Blue Steel? None of us got into this to be models. I'm certainly not a model. It's part of the process, and you kind of grin and bear it.
I can barely make my list, that's why I'm looking.
I've been rehearsing in this room since like 1989 or something. We just come in here and we put together a rough set list and just start sort of jamming it out. We don't have like a show or anything like that. We just put the songs together and keep it sort of loose, because I change the set list at least 2 or 3 songs every single night. So we just put together what seems like a good set list and go out and do it.
The rehearsal process in general it can be grueling, because our guitar player just happens to be fucking tireless and absolutely, he's a fucking machine when it comes to playing, you know, and Slash will just go and go and go and go. Because it's one thing to be standing in a room together, staring at each other, playing the same riffs over and over and over again. It's another thing to get in front of an audience and be able to nail that thing and feel really comfortable.
Well, the thing for me, and probably more myself than anybody, is I just tend to forget stuff. I have ways of playing things, or certain fingering positions or whatever, that in the heat of the moment I can forget if we haven't played in a few months. Whereas if I've been focusing on something else 100% and not really, you know, and I don't listen to our records or anything, so we'll come in, I'll go, how's that go? You know, and that happens to me every time.
No matter how much you prepare, it becomes a whole different animal as soon as it's, you know, thousands of people in front of you. And regardless of how much effort you put into making sure the tempos are exactly correct, those kind of things start to get a little tougher to handle when the audience is so amped up and the band just gets kind of, we start to race a bit, but it's always kind of like trying to contain that energy. So rehearsal is so much more of a clinical process. To take it on stage becomes like, you know, you're going to war.
You just want to get a little bit of a flow going before you go and do the first show. Really, the band gets super tight just from playing every day. You can rehearse, and the energy is so different when you get up there that it's like you haven't rehearsed, because your whole approach just naturally changes. But trust me, it's better to get a couple days of rehearsal and work out whatever bugs needs to get worked out. We changed some stuff in this set. We put in some new gun stuff that we haven't played before in here. I'm using a double neck for a couple songs that I didn't use on the last tour. So you sort of want to get all that stuff ironed out. Frank came in for Apocalyptic Love, and he's, you know, been our live guitar player. So he just came in for rehearsals to get ready for the tour, and he's great.
Slash has always had that great feel, and I've always loved playing rhythm. It's been quite a journey learning just Izzy, learning Kushner, all the stuff that we play.
Frankie's the youngest of the bunch, but he's a great guitar player and really good guy who just comes in and gets on it.
You know, I'm 25 now, and the rest of the dudes are at least 40 plus. Of course, that was pretty nerve-wracking in the beginning, but it just felt so easy. Like the first couple of gigs, it wasn't even a problem. It was just like, out of the gate, these guys feel great to play with.
Songs since the last tour. You get them all together and you go in, you start rehearsing them, go into the studio, put it together, and that's like one sort of big segment. The next one is the actual tour itself. The first show is the beginning of that whole installment, which is the year-plus tour.
It's in my blood to be in a tour bus and see the road coming at me. It's just, I went through a period where I didn't do that, and when I got back in the saddle and saw those yellow lines coming back at me, I was like, yeah, I need to be on the road. So it's a drug.
Touring is the thing that you think about as a kid. Touring means you're playing, you know what I mean? Like the actual gigs are occurring. on a nightly basis. To me, the biggest part of playing music is being able to play shows in front of people and that sort of celebration. The touring just sort of is how we do that.
To know that you're probably going to be traveling for the next year, you know, in many different places, in different hotel rooms and tour buses and stuff. I mean, it does sound kind of like exciting and glamorous, but that's what we've been doing for so long. It's what we know. You know, I started back in my teens, and so here I am in my 40s now. So we're talking, you know, many, many years of trying to figure out how to make, you know, being a road pirate work. And I think we're all in a pretty comfortable position where we know what works to be on the road for a long time and pace ourselves. I think our band's focus is music and being good players and good people and you know, performing great rock and roll.
None of us really party anymore, and it's all really about music. So I think that's kind of, that's always been my favorite part of about the road and about all of it anyways, because it's music and I love playing music. We laugh, we have a good time. I just happen to be with some of my best friends in this band. Even if we weren't in the band, I'd probably just hang out anyway. So if they fire me, I'll be just hanging around.
So after about 2 weeks of just straight running the sets over and over and over, it's been a very serious rehearsal process. We are now in New Hampshire, in Hampton Beach, doing the first headlining gig of about 6 within the Aerosmith tour. So I know everybody's excited. I mean, I would have gone to this show if I wasn't a part of it.
I thought New Hampshire was just like a real sleepy town or something, and it turns out to be a way rockin' crowd, so I'm really looking forward to that being our first show.
When you play a song for the very first time in front of a crowd, it's kind of like unveiling your baby for the first time, kind of taking it home from the hospital, and here it is.
The interesting thing is now is that you're talking about a collection of songs, the new album, World on Fire, that have never been presented in front of an audience before. We have one song floating around out there on the radio. So it's kind of an exciting thing when people come and they have expectations of the show, and there are certain songs that we will always play because that's just the way it is. But then there's those songs that we never played before.
And it is the realization that you've completed yet another album and you're about to prepare for another album cycle and hopefully tour the world and do what you love and kind of add to your experiences as an artist.
Traveling is a real blessing, and to go and play music, you know, to all different kinds of countries and people, it's a very privilege, and I'm very thankful, you know, to be doing it. But I can't think too far ahead, but we're looking at probably another year of being on the road, you know, touring this record.
Yeah, on the road, I don't talk a lot just because it kind of burns it out, takes away my range. So a lot of people, they see me on the road and they're like, oh, he's really kind of quiet and standoffish. And I hope I'm not sending the wrong impression. It's just, I just want the show to be solid. But I do my warm-ups, got my hour warm-up routine, and I try to do it where no one's around because it's embarrassing. It sounds completely ridiculous.
Did you turn down? I did. Right. You want it to be quick or not? Don't tell me I'm releasing a guy. Yeah. Hey, Frank. Yeah.
I think World on Fire in general, I think, was sort of written to be played live in a funny way. Like, I think that probably everything Slash does, playing live is number one.
I'm way more comfortable live than I am in the studio. I get very uptight in the studio just trying to get my shit right, because you never know when you're going to get a good take, you know, because it's just spontaneous. You can't make it happen, you know. But fortunately, the environment that we were working in last time really sort of allowed for me as a guitar player to be able to express myself a lot freer than a lot of sessions that I've done.
This band has always been a live band. I think that from the top on down, I mean, Slash is a performer. He shines the most when he's in front of people, and he likes to be out on stage within that sort of sweating and the volume and the violence of just a live performance. And that I think that all of us within the Conspirators family sort of, we all kind of fire on that same sort of frequency, and it's sort of, you know, I just think that this band really kind of feeds off of each other and just makes beautiful, beautiful noise.
We love this genre. We love making rock music. Rock and roll, a lot of it's about energy, and it's about freedom. Hopefully there will be somebody at each show, there's gonna be a kid out there who's gonna see that, and it's gonna change their life to the point where they wanna take the torch and they wanna carry it on 20 years from now as well. And hopefully rock won't die. That's my big, profound message for the day.
We played every single song off Apocalyptic Love live during the Apocalyptic Love tour. And I said to Slash at one point, I go, there's 17 songs on World on Fire. We're never gonna be able to play them all. He goes, well, we got a year. Which basically means we'll be playing 17 songs. At some point, every one of those songs will probably see a live performance. I'm excited about that.
Really, you know, writing songs and stuff is great, but it's all a means to an end, which is to record a great song and then actually go out and perform it, you know. I love touring because I like playing. I like playing live, and, you know, the hour to 2 hours that we spend on stage, all the other stuff that we do that you might not necessarily enjoy, you know, it's a lot of tedium. It's all worth it for that hour or 2 hours that you're playing on stage, and you just keep doing it. So that's why I love it so much, is I just love the live shows.
What's the day you'll be the master?
Thank you. First time we ever played that. In front of people. You guys are fantastic. This is a lot of fun. It's good to be back. It's fucking great to be back.
I wanna sail into the calm, where skies are blue. I've never gone, but the rain keeps coming down. Tell me, will it ever stop? These waters rage, but I stay strong until the hours of the storm rise and fall with the tide. Carry
That was the whole arc of the whole thing. There's nothing else to talk about.